All right, boss. We're relating over stories here, and I want to hear
Oh,
some because it seems like you've got a fucking book to tell here. But we got a certified savage.
hey. I sound like a savage, huh?
That's you, not me,
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, hey, how's it going?
mate. This is like, I mean, first of all, you do Muay Thai, so you kick shit out of people for a living, which
And
is
get the shit out of me too.
yeah, yeah. Dealer's got to deal himself in every now and again. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
exactly.
we
Yeah.
sometimes we trip up a curb. You know, only the
Mm-hmm.
professionals trip up the
Balance
stairs.
in all things. You're not trying to, you can't always win because if you're
Oh,
like in life, if you're always winning, you're not actually playing the game. You're not going against anybody who matters. So,
that'd be boring, right?
yeah, exactly.
So, f- how do you get into it? Why do you do it? You moved to Thailand like some crazy motherfucker, one way ticket. I relate to that so hard. I
Yeah.
got on a dinghy, picked the wrong train, and the next thing you know, I pop up and these orcs running around. They say I'm
Okay.
in Middle Earth. Crazy story, but whatever. You know, talk to me. Tell me a story.
Okay. Cool. I'll try to do the most reasonably condensed version of it because it's a long one, and then we'll get into other stories later. So I'm from America, obviously. My name's Sarah Gohier, also officially. If you want to know how to pronounce the last name, Gohier is how it goes.
Go yay.
Yeah, kind of like a cheerleader. Like, yeah, no
Um,
one knows how to say it if you just read it because it's Gohier, but like Gohier.
is it French?
Um, yeah, my dad's French.
Look at that. The European getting it in one. You know what I mean? Like, isn't he
Yeah,
traveled?
sneaking everywhere. Yeah. Got it all. So I grew up with a bunch of older brothers. So I always grew up kind of used to being rough in the country, chilling. I loved the idea of kickboxing. Um, but also I actually grew up very religious. So it was not the life that I lived at all. I got married super young. I got married when I was 20. And like,
Fuck.
yeah. um, and just like on that journey, I had gone through a lot of different abusive situations, like childhood sexual abuse, and then in my marriage, it turned like into domestic violence very quickly. And as I was healing from all of those things, like I started healing from my childhood issues when I was married, and so it was weird because I was simultaneously dealing with abuse, and then also being abused in another way from my ex-husband and everything. And so it was kind of intense, but I don't know, everything always works out how it should. Like you learn the lessons you need to learn. And the beauty of it is I went to a retreat put on by this organization that's rebranded and is now called Supriya, but they provide education resources online, as well as like a free retreat for anyone who wants to show up, that just teaches survivors of childhood sexual abuse for women. So you go there and they teach you to understand like your prefrontal cortex, all of these different parts of you, why you feel the way you feel. Let's talk about like mindfulness. Let's talk about consent. Let's talk about diet, everything. And so they really break down and educate you on like why you are the way you are. And it was the first time in my life I ever felt understood, not just understood by people who were educating me to how to understand myself, but surrounded by other women who got it without me having to explain anything.
Mm.
And they were amazing. And at that retreat, they had Muay Thai. And it was, I fell in love like so quickly. I knew I wanted to do it. I tried it. And just the second I heard that sound of like the glove hitting the pads, I was like, oh my God, like that, I have to do this forever. 100%. I don't know how, I don't know what, but like I want to do this thing. So I was still married at that time, but shortly after that retreat and I found it, we moved to Washington, D.C. And there I got started in the gym and kind of got settled in and started feeling myself again, feeling like I was seen, feeling like I was strong. If you know a lot about abuse, obviously especially when it comes to physical abuse, it's always partnered with like mental and emotional abuse as well. So like you're someone who's not like broken down, but between that and my childhood stuff, like I was already ready to be like stuck and not really able to get out. But like as I got into Muay Thai and was in a community of people who saw me, who appreciated me, who told me how supportive I was, and kind of really helped me see myself again and not the version that this other person had put on me. And built a community, like it empowered me to choose me and choose that instead of staying in that marriage. It's kind of funny because he would say that I left him for Muay Thai, which I'll take it. I did. It's my true love, if I'm honest. So that's fine with me. But yeah, so I got into it, and like very quickly, within 8 months, I had my first fight. It was just an exhibition fight in the States, but yeah, it was an avalanche of just like falling in love with this thing, like a little hit and being like, oh, this is really cool, and let me show up and let me start sparring. And then okay, I saw someone else fight from the gym, another girl, and I was like, oh, I could do that. Like she didn't come out all bloody. Like if you look up Muay Thai on YouTube, you're gonna see some intense shit, but amateur stuff, like, oh, okay, I could do that. And then doing it and then realizing like, oh, I liked that I did this, but I missed out on this part of what I wanted to grow on. So let me like get back in the ring as soon as possible and just like train as hard as I could. And I just got really, really invested and really excited. And it brought me a lot of healing. It brought me a lot of peace. It was a coping mechanism. And for a couple of years, like that was my thing. It taught me boundaries. It teaches you to like stand up for yourself. Like I feel like I'm my best version of myself when I do Muay Thai. Not just at the gym or in the ring, but then everywhere else in my life. I set boundaries and speak up for myself. I feel confident, not that I need to be aggressive, but that I can be assertive, that I can deal with conflict more regularly because I deal with conflict on the daily in sparring or in training, and learn to speak up for myself and what I need and what's okay and what's not okay. And it really just saved my life and changed my life. And it's the one thing that since then I've known like I needed to follow. A lot of things have kind of come and gone. I've moved gyms. When COVID hit, lost it, had a lot of struggles trying to figure out what my next steps were. I lost my gym, kind of had some things that went down, and I lost that community for a while, and that was painful, but it was really empowering to once again find Muay Thai for me and like myself. Like I take this everywhere I go. It's not just dependent on certain people or a gym. It's dependent on where do I want to go. And ultimately that ended up being moving to Thailand, booking that one ticket in January. So now here we are. I decided, I was like, let me give it a real shot and see what happens, try to go pro and see what happens. And so that's what we're doing right now.
Wow. That's fucking rad.
Thank you.
Like someone just taking a leap, you know what I mean? And just saying, hey, you know what? Fuck this shit. Let's go figure it out. Is so fucking cool. Like, that's so cool. Like, even if you just turn around, you get there, you get off the plane, you're like, nope, turn around, get back on the plane, go back home, right? You're just like, well, you've learned something, but you didn't. You went in, you stirred the pot, you walked through treacle, you knocked on a door, you knocked on another one, you carried on, you kept going, you got down, you got back up, you fucking turned around again, you did the hokey pokey, and then you got on a one-way ticket. And I'm super interested about women in general. Obviously, you're going to speak from the female perspective. I don't know that perspective of taking back their life through martial arts, right? Because I've had this conversation a few times with a couple of good mates of mine. And I remember this, maybe like 100 podcasts ago, like a good mate of mine kind of planted the seed and was like, yeah, she personally did it. She knows a lot of people that did it. She's a psychologist, helps women get through all that trauma of DV, right? And I'm like, awesome, talk to me, like teach me, and planted the seed of martial arts allows them to reclaim that. And I'm like, wow. So what's that like for you? First of all, you don't have to share shit. Okay, you don't have to tell me anything.
No worries, you're good. Thank you.
Okay,
But
well,
I'm an open book. I'll say everything I want to say. Don't worry.
okay, cool. You can just tell this blonde guy to go fuck himself. That's all right, you know. Don't worry about it. I've been called many names. They've all been colorful, and most of them have been from me, man. It's okay. Um, I'm joking. But how would you say that it reclaims that life?
I love this because this is a lot of what I talk about anyways. The principles, so there's a book called The Body Keeps a Score by Bessel
Yes.
van der Kolk. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you spoke to your friend, and there's something about like your body holds on to trauma and the way that we move through life. We don't always get a chance to like express it or move through it and like process it. And like when you do activities where you're moving, it's easier for it to let go sometimes, or it's easier for it to process. But also just like the mindfulness of Muay Thai for me is unmatched by anything. Like I've done yoga. Yoga is a different kind of mindfulness that I really love, but Muay Thai and that consistent movement is both like, it's that aggression and that like aggressiveness and that conflict that to me became really, really important in reclaiming myself. Because women in general aren't encouraged to be aggressive or assertive.
Yeah.
We're not encouraged in, like being loud, being messy, being everything that in order to really excel at Muay Thai. And not that you can't like wear makeup or whatever, but like, because I know girls who wear makeup in the gym and good for you. Like fucking, if you want to do that, go for it.
Go for it.
But for me, like when you're in it, there's no time. Like there's no time to be worried about what you look like, what's most polite, what's all the things that you've been conditioned to as a woman be. And that's where for me, like the boundaries come up a lot. Like I'm able to tell someone like, you need to go lighter, like speak my truth and say like, hey, calm down, or this is what I need, or just recognize when I'm overwhelmed and find a way to push through it. Sometimes that includes going to the bathroom and crying. Literally yesterday,
yeah.
like sometimes I gotta go deal with the overwhelming emotions and come back. But I think because that physical manifestation of not just aggression, but like balance, you're learning something, you're showing yourself that you're capable of something you didn't believe in as you continue to learn new techniques, and you see that growth consistently. It is a huge lesson that you can learn kind of like anything. And I think it's a huge confidence builder. At the same time, seeing like I'm strong. I've seen so many women. I used to teach a women's class at one of the gyms I was at, and even just honestly, when I was in the States, I had like pads in my car, and like any girl who I met, I'd like talk to her about Muay Thai. I was like, "Oh, pads for you right now. Like, do you want to learn? Like, let's go." Because I love seeing that first look of like, people look at me, especially now, and they're like, "Oh, you're so strong," and I'm like, "But you are too."
Mm-hmm.
And it's just technique. It's a matter of technique. It's not about punching really hard and getting tense. It's actually about understanding the way you move your body and that power that flows through you from being grounded. Like that's what brings the power. It's not about being tense and angry, or trying to project anything like that. And I think that's another thing that I love about it is it's not anger. It's purely just like mindfulness and that like meditation. So that was a very rambling answer, but really I think it just comes down to that kind of process of all of these different elements teaching you and growing. And then the thing about Thailand that's in my opinion better, and I've had some gyms like this and I've had some not. I've had some people be really serious, but like it's fun. Like we play, we have a good time, we joke, I dance in between pad rounds because I'm just trying to stay relaxed. Like it's not about being serious and trying to be anything. You're just meant to have fun because we do this too long to not just have a good time.
Fuck yeah. Like I that relates to a concept that I kind of thought about a while back, right? Of it's I class it as like the arena and the cave, right? So it's purely anecdotal. It's purely from just kind of seeing people come in and out of the gym and talking to people and whatever. But I think most of the time ladies default setting is to go into the cave, right? And dissect the emotion and to feel it and whatever. Phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Usually why they're a little bit smarter upstairs than the dudes, right? We're not the brainiest of the species, put it that way. And the dudes go the other way. And I think the more time we can spend in the opposite of our default setting, right, the better. You know, the amount of times I'm able to, like, you know, you big up this lady, blah blah blah. She able to step into that kind of aggressive state, and then you just observe, and you're like, you're a lot more balanced as a human right now,
Yeah.
because you know you can go to that one and you can go to the other one, and it's the same with a dude.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like for someone who can sit down and kind of like figure it out, communicate it, write it, draw it, whatever it is, um, dissect it, I guess, mentally. He's less like irrational and willing to just snap and goes back to the friggin', all right, let's just fucking fight it out. You're like, dude, Christ almighty, can we just kind of come on, you know, pack it in now, you know, behave yourself. Um, and you just see the aura around them change. And these human beings become a lot more balanced rather than just like super sporadic on one side and super imbalanced and, oh, I'm just gonna break down in tears all the time. You're like, can you just pull it together, mate? Please just
Yeah.
let's just let's just get through this like fucking half a workout, right? Let's be able to just stretch our hamstrings without bawling our eyes out. And then the other side is just like, can you fucking calm the fuck down? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you are just trying to punch through walls and you're just trying to make a cup of coffee in the morning, you know, just level yourself out. And yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think fitness in its entirety, however you choose to do it, Muay Thai, Zumba, step class, I don't frigging care. Um, it's got it's so special, you know, it teaches people so much. And I think it's the catalyst. I think it's the start. And then everybody else does the work, right? You know, we kind of just get them in a gym, get them a bit sweaty, and be like, good job, guys. And then you see the building blocks in their own head, and they end up becoming, you know, a better human at the end of the day.
Definitely. I think that's the beauty of it, is like at its heart, almost probably all fitness or all exercises or things, but like Muay Thai specifically, what I love about it is its balance is like such a key characteristic and like value in Muay Thai. Like you can't do anything if you don't have good balance. And in fact, like the way that they score Muay Thai, like if someone kicks you and you check like with your leg and like block it and you don't move at all, like that kick doesn't even count, because look how good their balance is. Like that means it didn't even phase them. But you might check, and if they push you over, like, oh, that's a big thing. Along with being able to have your balance so that the second you strike, you immediately go back to a balanced space so that you can either defend or strike again. And so finding those kinds of values like within the sport, I really love that metaphorically. And so between that and respect is huge in Muay Thai. It's a very spiritual sport. So that's where I've done like a little bit of kickboxing, but like I love the more calm approach. Obviously, it's not UFC. There's not like face downs or any like shit talking. Like if that is not Thai style at all. It's very all about respect and showing up in the ring. And even after, the first thing you say to your opponent is sorry, I'm sorry, and thank you. Some people don't, but that's not appreciated. But it's not about like trying to hurt someone or trying to prove anything. Like you can prove something to yourself, but it's not egotistical. It's meant to be acknowledging your teachers, your opponent, your parents. Like really, every time you get into the ring, you're putting that out there. And so that for me is one of the things I love about it as well, is that's the way I like to move through the world, is try to be as open and respectful. And I don't need to push myself onto people or establish my dominance or anything, because my actions are going to show who I am. It's the same in the ring. I'm like, I don't need a shit talk. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my best. And it's not with the intention of I'm going to kill someone. It's I want to do my best. If that person's better than me, good on you. Like, fuck yeah, good for you. But I'm going to do my very best, and I expect my opponent to do the same, because that's like what really is going to test us and push us further.
It really is a spiritual journey, right? You can tell just by talking with you, where you pull from aspects of your life and you bring it into that little box, right? And then you kind of run around it and throw kicks and punches, and you're like, wow, this is a healing process. This is a lot more than just two savages kicking the shit out of one another and then giving each other a hug and a high five when they're done, right? It's like no, this is an acknowledgement of, whatever you believe, whatever school of thought it is, past lives, past experiences, lessons, people, versions of yourself. It doesn't really matter. Like, it's all very similar, right? And then you're doing the same with the opponent. You're like, we're each going to go on an individual spiritual journey here, and we're going to leave here not the same as we came in as, probably physically as well, but that's kind of the byproduct of what's going to go down, and that's okay. I appreciate you walking this journey with me. Let's fucking fight. And I think that's incredible. I really do. I think that's really, really fucking cool. And I think it's one of the few things where you can do that and harness a lot of different energies. I speak to people like all the time, coaching, right? They come in, I coach fitness, so it's Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit, you name it, whatever. We'll kind of get involved. And you might have to pull people into the light and like, I want you to kind of work out happy, whatever. And then you might have to pull them, most of the time you got to pull them the other way. And I'm like, guys, sometimes you just got to get a little bit nasty with it. Stop being so fucking nice. At the end of the day, go to some fucked up place in your head. The barbell is now that, the workout is now that. And then at the end, we can kind of pull them back down from there, level them out, give them a high five, tell them to piss off, see them the next day, right? But I think just from hearing from what you're saying, Muay Thai is like even further than that. It's everything in between. It's the top of the mountain, it's the bottom of the ocean, and it's all this weird bit in between. And I'm like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, it really feels like infinite. I love it. I love seeing like myself where I go. I know like it's easier for me to like control and know that I'm really self-aware. I've done a lot of work to be there, but it's also fun seeing. Then we have like the gym I'm at now. I love them. It's my fucking home here. Hong Kong Muay Thai, but they do all levels training. And they encourage everyone to fight, anyone who wants to, anyone who has the desire. And it's smaller stadiums up here in Chiang Mai, so it's like you could pay 2,000 baht, and it's full rules. Like you're not wearing shin guards. So we've had several people who come in their first Muay Thai fight ever, and they get in the ring and they fight a Thai, and it's obviously not always like, it's not the level of like, I go fight in Bangkok now, and that's a much higher level. The pay's higher, so people are willing to fight harder. There's bonuses for like hurting each other more. So like you got to put on a good show. But even just seeing the way that people grow. We had one girl who was here a few weeks ago, incredible, the sweetest, also tiny girl, got in the ring for her first fight. I was in her corner, and like the first round, my poor girl like got kicked in the leg, and she like looks at me, and I can see in her eyes she's like, this hurts, like I don't want to do this shit. And I was like, go, you gotta go. And then she was kicking, like we're good in training where we try to protect our training partners. You don't go too hard. Thais are really, really good at it. I can't say the same for Americans, but people kind of get amped up and tend to like beat each other up in sparring. But in Thailand, we're really like, take care of each other, it's okay. But yeah, so she was like going light, and I was like, you need to like go. 5-round fight, 2-minute rounds, like doing great. She definitely lost the first round. Was doing great, but just like it was her first time ever dealing with it. The second round, still struggling, starting to get things a little bit better. In the third round, the girl bit her. And I don't know how.
She did what?
She bit her. Not allowed. Don't know how it happened. But like she's like bit her arm and like also ended up biting her face. Like got her a couple of times, but she like motioned to the ref like she bit me and he didn't do anything. So, but like that's when the fire came out of her eyes.
This motherfucker, like
literally, and seeing her come back and start to fight for herself. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it because it was so beautiful. Like especially having the first 2 rounds, seeing her like keep looking at me and I'm like, you're doing great. Like, she's like, she's better at clinch than me. I'm like, no, she's not. You just need to like do this. This is how we're going to adjust. But I know all those same thoughts go through my head when I fight. It's like, oh, like, is this person better than me? And like, in order to excel and stay calm, you have to stay calm. And so you have to let go of those thoughts. If someone kicks you and you feel pain, you have to let go of it immediately, because if you hold on to that thought, it's going to start hurting and then you're going to show it. They're going to kick more. Like it's about letting go of everything and being in that moment. Like, okay, it doesn't matter that they did this. None of this matters. Even the biting part, she's like, she bit me. I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Like, let's do this and this. And we were like adjusting the game plan. And she came back and won. Like she definitely lost probably the first 3 rounds. But the thing about Muay Thai is in the 5-round fights is they don't start scoring till like round 3. And the way that she came back, her technique was getting better. Like by round 5, she was fiery. Like I don't think anyone could have stopped her. And it just was the most beautiful shit to see. And obviously we were all furious she got bit, but at the same time, I was like, I mean, if you hadn't gotten bit, maybe you wouldn't have like wouldn't have woken up in you. So yeah, like finding those moments, finding those things. I have lots of friends who they'll come back to the corner and they'll be, my leg hurts. And I get that. But for me, a rule I have is I don't say it. Like there are lots of things my brain thinks, but I'm like, if I don't say it, it's not real. So let's just let that go. I won't say I'm tired during training because I don't want to give energy to that thought. I don't want to like fall into that. But yeah, learning to kind of not try to make people follow the path that I follow or the things that I do, but still kind of dig in and see how they dig deep and try to be that person. Like, yeah, start like kicking and her coming back and believing again and again, like, oh, she's stronger than me. One, the girl was, but like, not if you turn it up. Like, it's not about strength, it's about heart and technique. And if you've got heart, that can break them so fast. Like, so yeah, I think that's what's really cool. Same thing with coaching, which I love to coach as well in Muay Thai, which is why I love my gym, is I get to fight and then I get to coach a lot more of the new people. So it's just fun because I get to think more. And when you actually know something, is if you can teach it. So it's a test to me consistently. Like, do I actually know the sport that I'm in? Yeah.
I love that that part where it's just like, oh, it hurts. I was like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. What do you need to do? Come in for a fucking cuddle? Like, oh, hey, let's just, kind of cry about our feelings and eat popsicles. I was like, no, bitch, you walked into the gym. Let's fucking work, Welcome to the Black Parade, motherfucker. Like, this sucks. Let's get going, and then you kind of, you say whatever you got to say and you say usually some bullshit and you push them through, right? And then you pull them back and you're like, okay, great. I've now punched you in the face, for me, metaphorically speaking, for you guys, literally. And then like pull them back and be like, okay, now we're going to calm the fuck down, And I love that. I love the nitty gritty. I love I've got to get underneath a barbell that literally wants to snap me in two. I was yeah, like, well, let's do it. You're like, okay, I'm going to have to go to some fucking weird place to do it. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And then you've got to pull that back and dissect any emotion that we feel, right? Oh my God, I'm fired up. I want to go train. I want to go squat and deadlift and throw things around like a bloody mad bastard.
Today I'm like, let's go.
This is not good. Anyway, I got so many more questions because I'm so interested in this. We're going to have to do a number 2, but I got 3 questions.
Okay.
All right. What is the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
I really like that. Um, I don't know if this is advice or more of just like an epiphany that I came to over time. Um, it the biggest thing that's most important to me, because I grew up super sheltered and super conservative, and I didn't get told that I could do a lot of things. So I like put myself in a box, and like I was a box inside a box inside a box. And so like it was
Yeah.
very hard to see or believe that there was anything out of there. Um, I genuinely believe every single thing in the world and every part of you is a muscle. And if you want something, you just have to figure it out. You just have to get the technique, the right kind of coach, the right teacher, and you can do literally anything. And that applies not just to physical, but arts, but emotions, like the mind game, the way that you process, like we just need to wire ourselves. So like having overcome a lot of trauma and a lot of other things, depression, everything. And there, like I've been through several different phases of major depression and severe depression, and it's hard. It's not about like, it's not overwhelming sometimes, but I do believe that there are ways you can start to use little day by day activities that help teach yourself to think differently,
Mm.
or even respond. Like, I'm trying to think of an easy one. um, but I used to be like heavy into anxiety and thinking about like, oh, this person thinks this about me, or let me like have that be my first thought. And I'll still get little moments of that being an initial gut reaction when I have certain interactions that might be off. But I've learned to rewire myself, to ground myself, say, listen, like if that person wants to talk to me, they can, but I'm not going to take on extra anxiety or extra emotions that one aren't even real probably. um and two, like that's not my burden to carry.
Yeah.
And that took a very long time. Being able to even look at myself in the mirror when I first went to the retreat, so that was back in 2017, like 5 years ago. um I couldn't look myself in the mirror and say that I like loved myself without crying, like bawling, because I didn't believe it.
Mm.
And that was a muscle like I developed. And then of course it comes to more